Harold hadn't planned to stop. He had been driving for 3 hours. No destination, no map, no one waiting for him anywhere. Just the road and the pale November sky and the low hum of an engine that had seen better days. It was the dog that made him stop. A thin, gray dog, standing at the edge of the highway, alone. Rain-soaked, not moving, just watching the cars go by with the kind of tired patience that you only see in creatures who have stopped expecting much. Harold pulled over. He sat in the car for a moment. Then he opened the door. "Come on then," he said quietly. "You look about as lost as I am." The dog climbed in without hesitation, and that was the beginning of everything. Let me tell you about Harold. 72 years old, former carpenter, the kind of man who built things with his hands and expected the world to stay solid beneath him. It hadn't. 3 years ago, the shop he had worked at for 2 decades closed without warning. Harold was 69, too old for most employers, too young for the life he had pictured for himself. His savings lasted 14 months. After that came the difficult decisions, the storage unit, the apartment he could no longer afford, the slow, quiet unraveling of everything he had built. He wasn't bitter. That's the thing about Harold. He simply adapted. He had his car, he had a sleeping bag and a camp stove and a cooler. He had driven from town to town, picking up occasional odd jobs, a fence here, a repaired porch there. But by November, he was tired. Not physically, something deeper than that. And now, sitting in the car on the side of a rain-gray highway, he had a dog. The dog was watching him from the passenger seat, brown eyes, calm, as if this had always been the plan. Harold reached into the back seat and found half a sandwich. He broke it in 2 and offered 1/2. The dog ate carefully, gently. "All right," Harold said. "I'll call you Finn." Finn wagged his tail once. That was enough. They drove together for 2 more days. Harold wasn't sure what he was looking for exactly. Something quieter, maybe. Something further from highways and parking lots and the particular sadness of sleeping in cities. On the 3rd morning, Harold turned onto a road he had never noticed before. A narrow 2-lane road climbing upward to pine-covered hills. The kind of road that doesn't announce itself. The trees grew taller, the air, even through the vents, smelled different. Cleaner, like rain and pine needles and cold stone. Finn sat up straighter. Harold kept driving. The road ended, or rather, it turned to gravel, and then the gravel ended too. Harold parked at a wide flat area where old logging trucks had turned around, once, a long time ago. Beyond the clearing, a trail continued into the trees, old, overgrown at the edges, but solid. Harold looked at Finn. Finn looked at Harold. "I suppose we could walk for a while," Harold said. He put on his boots. Finn jumped down from the seat and immediately pressed his nose to the ground, tail up, reading the trail like a letter written just for him. Harold followed. The trail climbed steadily, through pine forest that smelled of sap and cold earth. Across a narrow creek on stepping stones, the water so clear Harold could count the pebbles on the bottom. Up a long, slow ridge where the trees thinned and the sky opened wide above them, gray and enormous and full of moving clouds. Harold was breathing hard by the time they reached the top of the ridge. He stopped and rested his hands on his knees. Below him, on the far side, a valley. Green, even in November. A meadow at the bottom bordered by dark pines. And beyond the meadow, mountains. Real mountains. The kind with snow on their peaks and shadow in their creases. The kind Harold had only seen in photographs. It looked, he thought, like somewhere else entirely. somewhere far away, somewhere that hadn't heard of highways and storage units and shops that close without warning. Finn sat beside him. They stood there together for a long time. Then Finn began moving down the far slope of the ridge. Harold watched him for a moment. Then he followed. At the far edge of the meadow, where the pine trees began again, Harold saw it. A cabin. Old, certainly. The logs were dark with decades of weather, gray and silver in the flat afternoon light. The roof was intact. The porch sagged slightly on one side, but still stood. A stone chimney. A single window facing south, catching the last of the pale sun. Abandoned. That much was clear. No tracks in the mud, no smoke, no sign of anyone for years. Harold walked up to the door slowly. He tested the handle. The door swung open, stiff on its hinges, but open. He and Finn stood in the doorway together. The cabin was one room. A wood stove in the corner, old but solid. A narrow wooden platform that had once been a bed. A workbench along one wall. And above it, hanging on iron hooks, tools. Hand tools, axes, saws, chisels, hammers. Dusty, unused. But there, a carpenter's tools. Harold stood very still for a long moment. Then he sat down on the workbench. He found firewood stacked in a lean-to behind the cabin. 2 years old, maybe 3, but dry. He built a fire in the wood stove. The chimney drew well, smoke rising clean. Within 20 minutes, the single room was warm. Warmer than Harold had been in weeks. He ate the last of his food. Finn ate too, curled near the stove, already asleep before Harold had finished. Harold sat in the warmth and looked around. The tools on the wall, the workbench under his hands, the solid log walls and the good chimney and the sound of wind moving through pines outside. He had built a life with his hands before. He knew how. It wasn't something you forgot. The roof needed attention in one corner. He could see that. The porch needed new support on the left side. The window needed resealing. There was firewood enough for 3 weeks, but he would need more. All of it. Manageable. All of it. Something he knew how to do. Harold picked up a chisel from the wall, turned it in his hands, still sharp. He set it down carefully. He thought about the road that had brought him here. 3 hours of driving. A thin dog in the rain. A turn onto a road he had never noticed before. He didn't believe in accidents. Not really. Not anymore. Outside, the wind picked up. The pines moved. The stove ticked quietly as it worked. Finn opened one eye, looked at Harold, closed it again. "We'll stay a few days," Harold said quietly. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. Winter came hard that year. Harold was ready for it. He had spent 3 weeks repairing the cabin before the first snow. The porch, the window, the roof corner. He had cut and stacked enough firewood to last until March. He had driven into the nearest small town, 40 minutes down the mountain, for supplies. The people there were quiet and practical and didn't ask unnecessary questions. He liked that. By December, the meadow was white. The mountains above were white. The sky was the deep, clean blue that only comes with cold. And every morning, Harold woke to the sound of wind in the pines and the smell of wood smoke and Finn's warm weight at the foot of the bed. He built things through that winter. Small things at first. A better shelf, a proper table, a bench for the porch for when the weather turned. His hands remembered everything. In the spring, the meadow came back green and wide and full of birdsong. Harold sat on the porch in the morning light and drank his coffee and watched a hawk circle above the far tree line. Finn lay at his feet, chin on his paws, watching the same hawk with calm professional interest. 72 years old. Harold had lost a great deal: his work, his apartment, his certainty about how things were supposed to go. But sitting here, in the quiet morning, with the mountains rising above the meadow and the smell of pine coming through the trees, he understood something he hadn't known before. Home is not always a place you grow up in. Sometimes it is a place that waits for you, patient, quiet, ready, until the day you are finally lost enough to find it. If Harold's story touched something in you, maybe you've had a moment like his, a moment when everything fell away, and something unexpected appeared in its place. Tell us in the comments, what would you do if you found a cabin like this, in the middle of nowhere, with no one around? Would you stay? We read every single comment, every one. And if you believe that it's never too late to find your way home, subscribe to this channel, because every week we bring you a story like this one. Real, quiet, true. You don't want to miss the next one.